The date is March 12th, 2024, and we just got a massive patch for Marvel Snap. You can call me Sal, and we are going to run through everything you need to know for the March 12th patch in 15 minutes. Here we go. All right, there's a reason that the quality of life changes are at the top of the patch notes. These are huge, and I'm so excited. Let's just run through them real quick. You now have an in-game graveyard, so if you didn't see what was destroyed or what was discarded, you click a button by your avatar, you can see all of those cards, which is so helpful, especially when you're playing on mobile. You now can undo the end turn button. As long as your opponent hasn't ended their turn, you can undo that as many times as you need to rearrange your board. Now the big one, we've been asking for this for so damn long, and it's custom borders. You can finally mix and match the different effects that you've unlocked for a variant. Now we're gonna have more on this later. We'll show some effects so you understand exactly how the process works. There are some limitations, but none that take away from how exciting of an improvement this is to the game. And then we have a new gold pass, and I know monetization, we don't like it, but we'll circle back, we'll look at the numbers, and we'll see if this is a worthwhile $5 a month for you and your wallet. And if it's not, that's okay. Look, they got to make money somehow, so they keep the lights on. But let's keep going with the patch rundown. Now we are getting some art and visual effects, so we're adding in some visual effects to these cards right here. We're adding in some audio effects to these cards right here. Nothing game breaking, just some cool little additions to the game. You'll have to see it. It brings the game to life. That's what we love about Marvel Snap. All right, first one on the list, Elsa Bloodstone getting the global effect back, getting the buff she's so desperately needed for so long. I'm so stoked. Now, she is going up to a 3-cost card, but hey, maybe she's a Silver Surfer card now. Who knows? Either way, it seems good. Overall, this seems like a massive, massive buff to Elsa. And now what the balance team here is saying, real quick, is that they know that Elsa has been underperforming, so the buff has been a long time coming. And they know that Elsa's text can be a little bit confusing on if a card is going to get buffed or not when it fills a lane, but they are saying now that they are allowing her once again to buff a card that fills a lane before that card's on reveal effect resolves. So that means that cards like Beast and Spider-Man are once again going to get that Elsa buff before they move out of the lane or pick up the rest of the cards there. Huge. Moving right along, we got our boy Miek getting a huge buff. Now this text could be a little bit confusing, so let me clear things up. The biggest part is now you get to choose where Miek moves after he gets buffed from a card being discarded. That's massive. It gives you so much more autonomy. Now the other thing that you may not have known is that Miek previously was not getting a buff when cards like Black Cat, Dracula, or any discard card underneath Invisible Woman would discard because of when Miek checked in the order, did a card get discarded, should I get buffed? Miek was checking in the post-turn section of the game, so to speak, the post-turn step. But now, as soon as that card gets discarded, no matter at what point in the game it is, as long as the defeat or victory bell has not rung, Miek will immediately get that +1. And then the following turn, you get to choose where or if you even want to move him, because now you don't even have to move him if you don't want to. I would be willing to bet that Miek is about to become a staple in pretty much any discard deck out there. All right, next up on the list, Mantis. Now, Mantis is going from a 2/3 down to a 2/2, but the change in her effect 100% makes this a buff. Her effect has the same condition that still needs to be met now. Your opponent needs to have played a card in the same location as you played Mantis, but instead of drawing a card off the top of the opponent's deck, now you get a copy of one of the cards that your opponent played at that same location. Why is this a buff, you might ask? Because she gets any of the bonuses that that card may have gotten. The example that the devs give us here is copying your opponent's Venom. You play Mantis, they play Venom, Venom eats, gets huge, and you get a copy of the big Venom. Now, priority is still going to be a thing you're going to need to take into consideration here. The devs are going to keep an eye on it, see how it performs, take it from there. Next up, Cable. Pretty straightforward. We're just taking it down from a 3/4 to a 2/3. The effect is staying the same. It is differentiating itself from Mantis. So now they have completely separate effects and different costs. I think it's a buff. Thanos decks are finally getting slapped with a nerf. Now, I can't say that it's undeserved. The decks are incredibly powerful. Time Stone now will still draw you a card, but instead of getting that sweet +1 energy, the card you drew gets -1 cost. The devs are saying that the Mad Titan has ran supreme long enough, and they're perfectly fine with him just taking a chill pill and sitting on the bench for a little bit, but I do think that with the addition of Hope Summers, Thanos is still going to be competitively viable. You still are going to have ways to cheat out extra big cards that are going to be game-changing. Time will tell, but I'm very excited to test this one out myself. Now, some of the best Marvel Snap clips are M'Baku clips. Am I right? So this man right here, yep, he's finally getting a buff, albeit not the one I was hoping for. For all intents and purposes, the effect is still the same. If he is in your deck at the end of the game, he comes jumping out, only now he will prioritize going to the lowest power lane that you have that is not already full. Now, I was really hoping he was going to be able to jump from the hand as well as from the deck, but maybe if he still sees abysmal play rates after this change, he'll get that buff in the next one. Fingers crossed. Second to last on the list, and trust me, you're going to want to stick around for this last one, but we have Yondu now. So Yondu will now destroy the lowest cost card in your opponent's deck instead of the top card from their deck. The balance team is saying that this is acting as another kind of buff towards Cable because you're removing one of the potential dud draws that Cable could have hit. Now, they're also saying that there are other cards that could be coming with a similar effect to Cable. And I have questions, okay? Are we going to see a new archetype emerging where milling our opponent's deck and removing all of their options is the play style? A little bit of Black Bolt, a little bit of Stature, a little bit of take away the cards from their deck? I don't know, but I'm intrigued enough to reserve my judgments on whether or not this is a Yondu buff or a nerf for the time being. Oh boy, how ya doing? This one's a doozy, so strap on in. Leech could be dead. His text now reads, on reveal, remove the text from each card with an on reveal ability in your opponent's hand. The balance team acknowledges that Leech is typically one of, if not the most hated card in Marvel Snap on a week-to-week basis, but they also acknowledge that he has served his purpose as a meaningful equalizer in the game. They've stated that they're intentionally designing and adding other disruption cards, such as Echo and Mobius and the others that they have listed here in the notes, but they're also hinting that there are more to come, which is pretty cool. They feel comfortable narrowing the scope of what Leech disrupts, with the assessment that stopping cards like Shang-Chi and Legion, two on-reveal effects that completely can steal games on turn 6, that's enough power for Leech for now. Now, I gotta know, do you agree? Do you disagree? Are you happy to see Leech in the absolute gutter? Or you think this is strong enough? He's still a 5-3. I don't know. Let me know in the comments below. What we're looking at here is another one of the elements that make balancing a game such as Marvel Snap so complex and so unique. We all know that locations can absolutely win or lose you the game, and Destroy is a specific example of an archetype that has a lot of locations that are beneficial for it. So what the balance team is doing here is decreasing the frequency that the locations listed are going to show up in your games. And many of these are the ones that benefit Destroy. All right, this next part may be a little bit confusing, but it is super important. So I'm going to read exactly what they wrote here. We've also lined up all of our locations with cards that trigger after the turn to use the exact same window. This inconsistency previously made a variety of outcomes unpredictable, even while resolving locations from left to right. The affected locations that were previously triggering late are as follows. So what that means is when a location is checking if it has an effect that needs to be resolved, the locations are supposed to check the left location, the middle location, the right location, and they're supposed to resolve in that order. That was not happening for certain locations, and it was really hard to know how everything was going to play out. So now theoretically, this patch fixes all of that, and we always will know that the locations will resolve in order from left to right. Fingers crossed, this will be the one that fixes it. Now they sneak in a little bit of extra information down here at the bottom in a note. While this shift makes the entirety of the game more consistent, it is a meaningful functional change for cards that gain power after the turn, such as Sunspot. This is because our default trigger order is locations and then cards. So Sunspot's power gain won't help you win Asgard anymore, because Asgard's going to check who's winning, and then Sunspot gets the extra power of whatever energy you floated. It's a potential consideration for us to reverse that trigger order, and we're investigating it internally. That would be a large change because we're making it for every trigger to maintain consistency, and then I don't know how they're going to just sneak this in at the bottom. This is an important one. Last but not least, we've mined Subterranea a little bit and reduced the number of rocks it shuffles from 5 to 4. Oh, thank goodness. I hate those rocks. Now, every patch is going to have bug fixes listed at the bottom of the notes. Now, I'm not going to go through all of these because these are extremely detailed, nitpicky changes one way or another, where they also address the existing bugs that they know are there and their plan for fixing them. So you can read through all of them if you would like on your own. I will make sure that the link to these notes is in the description below, but as you can see, there's a few of them, and I would rather spend a little bit of time before the end of this video showing you the new quality of life changes that are inside of the game. All right, so here we have one of those quality of life changes we're talking about. We had destroyed our own carnage, so now we can click here on our profile, we can click destroyed, and we can see exactly what's been destroyed now. Let's give him one more card to look at, right? This is always a great play, but now this will make life so much easier for you to know. Don't worry about the Wong stuff that's going on behind my camera right now. We're not here for that. But, so did we destroy a null? We did indeed. So now null is added to the list. We added copies to the sides. It's not the same as destroying your own Wolverine or your X-23. X-23. It's not the same as destroying those. Those stay on the board. These are copies. There is a difference. All right, we're going to take a look at the end turn button. So now, as you can see, I can click the end turn button here, but then it gives me an undo end turn button. So I can click that. I can undo now. I can play the card that I forgot to play on turn 1, hit end turn again, and as long as our opponent still has an end of their turn, we have that option. Pretty cool. All right, so we're going to take a look at the new 30-day gold pass that they mention in the patch notes. So this is it right here. The way it works is it's $5, one-time purchase, and on purchase, you're going to receive 300 gold, and then for the next 30 days, you're going to receive 50 gold each day, and in total, for $5, you're going to get 1,800 gold. And if you look at the bundles right there, $5 normally buys you 300 gold. So already, the first time you purchase it, one day later, you've already bought more gold than you typically could ever be able to be at that price point. Now, there are arguments to be made for whether or not the value of gold is depreciating as we're seeing less and less gold bundles on a regular basis, but we have no idea what the monetization strategy is going to be moving forward after Newverse completely divests away from Second Dinner. Now, that is a topic we can get on for another day. There might be a bit more that we need to discuss there. But alas, right now, I do think this is good value, and that might move me from a $10 a month purchase for just the Season Pass to $15 a month for a game that I am playing a lot. Now, is that worth it for you? I can't decide that. Who the hell am I? I don't know. It could be. It could not be. It's up to you entirely whether or not an extra $5 a month for all of this gold is worthwhile. If you like saving it up for when the bundles do come around, great, get it. If you like having extra gold for variants because you like having cool looking variants, great, get it. There is no right decision for if you should or should not spend this $5. That is completely on you. But overall, this is actually a monetization change I think is moving us in the right direction with this game instead of the wrong one. Now, this is the one we've been waiting for, custom borders and custom effects. Okay, so let's look at exactly how this works. So now when you go into any one of your cards, in the top here, you're going to see the custom card. You can click it, and then you'll have this little edit button, and you can now edit and make your custom card any one of the variants that you have for that card. You can even customize your base art if you'd like to, but let's take the Fiona death that everyone got recently. Now what we can do is we can go ahead and pick through any one of the border options that we want on the card. And then we can go over and we can choose from the different effects. Now we can just tick this to owned so we know exactly what options we have. Now you might be wondering, why are there so few? Well, here's why. We're going to save this. Also, let's just take a moment to appreciate the beauty of this rainbow crackle on the Fiona death. It's beautiful. We're going to save that here. Now, the reason I had so few options for that specific death is because I have only unlocked those effects for that variant of death. The effects are currently locked towards the variant itself, but literally moments after the patch came out, on the official Marvel Snap Discord server, someone asked about whether or not the effects will be global, where if you have unlocked a rainbow crackle on this version of death, will you also be able to use the rainbow crackle on this version of death or on a different one? And the answer was yes, that they know that they're going to add that into the game. It was damn near guaranteed that that is coming in the near future. So for the time being, play around with your own variants, see which ways that you can mix and match the effects that you have, come up with some cool combinations, post them on Twitter, share them with the rest of the world so we can all see your amazing splits. And then very, very soon here, we should be able to do even more customization, and I cannot wait. If you've made it this far in the video, I appreciate you so much for coming and hanging out with me as we do the 15-minute patch rundown. If you'd be so kind, if you like the content, if you want to see more of it, hit that like and subscribe button at the bottom. It helps a lot. You know how the YouTube algorithm works. I don't have to explain it to you. But I'm going to start testing immediately and hopefully have out some cool gameplay footage for you guys to see how some of these buffs, maybe an Elsa Surfer list or some of the nerfs have played out. Much love, everybody. We'll see you on the next one.